could still hear drums then. That was very odd. Now, I already know I've made a mistake because I told two people before I started that I needed two people to read, and then we read one of them together. But what I would like to do is go back and get that to be read again. So, Amy, can you read the first one for us? So I'm just going to take us back. If you can just read this, and this time we'll just listen to what's being said.
Psalm 138, your love endures forever. I give you thanks, O Lord, with my whole heart. Before the gods I sing your praise. I bow down towards your holy temple and give thanks to your name for your steadfast love and your faithfulness. For you have exalted your name and your word above everything. On the day I called, you answered me. You increased my strength of soul. All the kings of the earth shall praise you, O Lord, for they have heard the words of your mouth. They shall sing of the ways of the Lord, for great is the glory of the Lord. For though the Lord is high, he regards the lowly, but the haughty he perceives from far away. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve me against the wrath of my enemies. You stretch out your hand, and your right hand delivers me. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands.
Thank you. Nothing to see here. And then our second reading is going to be, Sarah's going to do this for us. So thank you. If you could just sit and listen to this, please.
Okay. Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. Once, while Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he saw two boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gotten out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowds from the boat. When he'd finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked all night long but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." When they'd done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to burst. So they signalled their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both boats so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were astounded at the catch of fish that they'd taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid, for from now on you'll be catching people." When they brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him.
Thank you. So we have two readings this evening. It's been a very long week. And the first one was the Psalm 138. Now, this psalm is a psalm of thanksgiving. And it's quite powerful in some of the words that it gives. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but at the very beginning it actually said about gods. It didn't assume that there was one God. There's lots of nods. People were listening, and I like it. So it's saying it's a world in which different gods compete and rival with each other. Because the people of Israel hold their faith in the God who's been faithful to them and through their history. And it's also the world in which worship centres around the Jerusalem temple, which is written in that. The psalm offers thanks to God because God has been known in Israel's history. That's what the psalm's written for. But also because the writer who wrote it has a personal experience with God and notices that God answers prayer. And in the psalm, it talks about the way we are looking to God for thanks, but also turning to God when maybe we don't know what we're asking for. We don't know what we're looking for. What other people experience in God may not be what we experience. And so it's important that we share our thoughts with each other and our own stories to kind of enhance our beliefs and our understanding of what we believe God to be. Sometimes it's hard when we don't seem to get an answer. So when we put a prayer up to God and then we think there's silence or maybe no one has answered, is there anything to be joyous and thankful for here when we've said what we want and then we don't get it? Like a small child who doesn't get what they want all the time in our house. Then as it goes on, it talks about a broader horizon. It talks about the praise of not being just Israel's voice and experience, but that it touches all nations who have great worldly power. And then later on it picks up a powerful biblical theme highlighted in much of the world's liberation theology from places of great inequality and injustice. So this is God's preferential option for the poor. The psalm can celebrate the rulers, bringing praise, and then instantly God's special focus is not upon the powerful, but upon the lowly. Who do we think God might be focused on, or particularly focused on right now in the world? Is it the rich and powerful, or is it the lowly? Those who suffered great injustice. The psalmist in 138 is kind of almost reminding God to be faithful. Not that troubles are to be wished away, but that we look to God in the midst of those troubles. Someone who is very present in our time of need. Someone who is present in all times of trouble. When the battery dies, I will shout louder. When we are thinking about a time when we're talking to God, when is that time? Is it because we are praying? Or do we take time for God in other moments? When do you have space for God in your lives during the week? Is it just on a Sunday evening? Is it when you're driving? Is it when you're walking? Is it when you're singing? Maybe you're a painter, you draw. I know there might be a few crafty people in the room. So maybe it's when you're knitting or crocheting. But when is that time for you where you connect with God? And maybe it's not in the midst of trouble, but maybe you're doing something that's actually joyful at the time, and you say, thank you. In our second reading, people noticed that I gave them fish earlier, and a couple of people did say, where are the loaves? To which I had to say, it's the wrong miracle. It's the other one. There are plenty. It's worth noting that in this second story in Luke, Jesus is already drawing such enormous crowds that he has to turn his boat into a floating pulpit and go back away from the shores so that everybody can see what he's saying. And you can see in that picture there that there's a fair few people on that riverbank. So the miracles that Jesus has already done and talked about in the beginning bits of the Gospel of Luke, in this case, are well known. People are aware of him, and they're actually coming to listen to him now. Is this one on? Lectern 2?
No.
1.
It's not connected, Nici.
It's not plugged in, would help. Can you make sure this is muted when I plug it in? Because otherwise it'll make a big bang. now you can turn it on. Can people hear me now? Yes? Yes? Okay. Can people still see me, Rebecca? That's the more important thing. Yes? Okay, good. So, there's something attractive about Jesus at this moment in time. People are drawing near to him. And then, if you notice, he says to Simon, go and put your nets in. You know, we're going to go fishing. And he responds and says, but we've been up all night. We haven't caught anything. You know, there's not really any point. But does he say, no, I'm not going to? No, he doesn't. He says, well, we've done that and it didn't work, but okay, Jesus, we'll do what you said. And they put the fishing nets out, and lo and behold, they catch a lot of fish. So much fish that it drowns the boats, starts to sink them. Whenever I read this passage, I always think that's a lot of fish, and then I remember that they only have small boats back then. They're not massive fishing trawlers. So there are a lot of fish that are caught, and it goes from being this wonderful miracle that all of a sudden these fish are in the nets and they're catching them. And then something very interesting happens, because then immediately Simon says that he's not worthy to be doing this with him. Like almost immediately, like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, I am so sinful, I shouldn't even be here. And Jesus kind of says, no, don't be afraid. I'm here, and I'm going to help you, and I'm going to help you catch fish. But more than that, I'm going to help you catch people. Now, this is not a child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It doesn't actually mean catching people. Children, come and get your lollipops. It's not talking about that in that way. There'll be all sorts of kind of ideas and anxieties about kind of evangelism and witness today, about going out and catching people. There's a few people in the pews that are going to those words. But what we are listening to is not a bit about ensnaring or trapping people. And in the Greek context here, the catch is the idea of drawing people who are fully alive, awake, involved and responsive to what is being shared and offered. It's not about going out and nabbing them and getting them inside. So it's interesting that some of the fishermen already know what Jesus is about, because they're there with him already. And the other fishermen, the sons of Zebedee, I want to say, James and John and somebody else. Thank you. People are nodding at me. I've lost my train of thought, so I have no idea what's going on. They're not entirely sure still about what Jesus is doing. This kind of idea that he can suddenly magic all these fish up from nowhere is a bit unheard of. They're still not sure about these Jesus miracles that are happening. They know that he's attracting crowds. They know that the people who are coming from afar to see him. And that Jesus seems to want to know them. He's not just giving them a word and then getting them on their way. In our context, there are people out there, outside these walls, who have some idea of who Jesus is. They know that we Bible bashers who wear sandals and make candles and play the guitar worship somebody called Jesus, and they kind of know a little bit about what he's about. But how do we, as individuals and a congregation, offer some sort of witness that will intrigue people enough for them to want to discover more? How do we attract the crowds that Jesus has got to our shores? How do we use whatever connections we've got, to spread rumours about the Jesus we know, that we love and we worship? How do we show that we, like Simon, have found Jesus to be far, far more than just a figure we vaguely know about? So some of you may have noticed at the front, there is a sea. Did you notice the sea? It's very clear. And did you notice that there are some fish in it? Yes, you may have noticed that. I understand you can't see this online, but just take my word for it. There's a huge sea at the front of the church, and there are lots of fish. No, don't spoil the effect of showing them. Yes, you may show them, Rebecca. And you've also got some fish on your pews with you. So I would like to invite some people to come forward and have a go at fishing. There are some fishing rods down here. There are 4 fishing rods, and I'd like to invite people who want to come and have a go at catching a fish. So would anybody like to come and catch a fish? Rebecca is right in there. You won't be on camera. Up you come then. Up you come. There's 4 people. There's 4 people and there's 4 fishing rods. No? Freya's coming too. No, come on, you can share. So please have a go at fishing, and then once you've caught it, turn it over and tell me what it is you've got.
I've got a crab.
Oh, David's got crab, excellent. Ali's got a fish, Rebecca?
Shark.
A shark. Wow. Don't throw it, just put it in the sea.
I've got a bottle of water.
A bottle of water. Oh no. A turtle. Wow. Anybody else want to come and have a fish? Come on then, come on. You know you want to. Oh, geez, come in, Karen's. See, you all want to have a go now. Come and see what you can catch in my lovely pond. No, something wrong. You keep fishing, just keep fishing. No, stop. It's very sensitive this evening.
It must have got some water in it.
An octopus? It's just being a pain. What, did you get an octopus?
I got an adult dolphin.
A pufferfish? There's lots of really exotic animals in there that you're catching with just a simple fishing rod. Do you want to go, Francis? Are you sure? Because you sat up and everything. Okay, fine. It is there if people want to carry on, okay? Obviously they're not real fish, just in case anybody would like to know that. But the idea being that you come and you take this little rod and you fight for something that's there, and you're all very excited about it. Much more excited than I thought you might be. Which has really warmed my heart, so thank you for all of that. If I'd said to you, can you go out and catch someone and bring them in, would you have been so willing to get up? No, grab them by the scruff, somebody said. I don't know whether Francis said something then or not, but... what? That was you. Words. Fishing for people might be slightly different to fishing for fish. But I wonder how we can translate what Jesus is saying and tell these stories to people and tell people how much we enjoy Jesus and what we know of him and how we want to attract people. And it's not because we want to have bums on seats. It's because we want people to know the joyfulness that we feel with Jesus in our lives. What I want you to do, actually, is what is it that Jesus, if you were new, or even not, to Jesus, what is it you would want Jesus to help you with? So is there something that you want to ask him for? Is there something that you want his help with? Is there something that you've been thinking of doing for a long time, but haven't quite got the courage to do it yet? What I want you to encourage you to do is to take the fish that you've got on your pew in front of you and write down something that you would like help with, or something that you need a nudge in the right direction for. And if you can't think of anything that you need help with, then write something down that you're thankful for. And maybe those of you who are online, you could draw a little fish on a bit of paper and write down something that you are thankful for. And the fish is now coming online for you. Yes, the fish is swimming past. Please write down something that you are thankful for, or something that you need a nudge with. And I actually have some nets down here, and I'm going to collect them all up in a bit and set them free in the sea. Jesus says, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to ask. Do not be afraid to try. And when we discuss in a minute, if this doesn't zoom ahead, our questions this evening are, first of all, what do we have to be thankful for? What stories do we tell as we witness to God's activities? So thinking about that going out and fishing for people. What does it mean to be catching people? And what do we take from this particular story of Jesus? This miracle that happened? So those are our questions that we're going to discuss. I'm going to come and collect your fishies in my little net. We're going to say goodbye to the people online. Although, have they already gone? Because the light's not on. Ah, okay.
They're still there.
They're still there. So just bear with me while I go catching fish. Are they what? What, my nets? I'm not going to smell them. I'm just not. No. This is the naughty corner back here. Wonderful. Some of these fish have been coloured in and they're looking very pretty. Are there any more that swim into my nets? The nets will be here. I'm going to leave them on the front. I will set them free in a minute. But if you are going to fish, obviously using a line would be much more sustainable than using nets. Just putting it out there. And let's just take a moment to pray before we say goodbye to the onliners. So Jesus, help us to be thankful for what we have, to be thankful for things that maybe we don't have yet. Help us to try to do things that maybe we haven't done yet. Help us to lead by example. Help us to not be afraid of trying and to turn to you in our times of trouble. May we bear witness to you and go out and fish for people. May you be with us and let us grow in strength. Let us attract the crowds. Amen. So let's say goodbye to the people online. Thank you very much. We'll see you again next week. And then for the rest of us, we will have our usual